So welcome back. We're going to journey into a pretty big section at this time. We're going to start working with graphing. You may remember that through some of your years in schools. And we want to get into what we call the coordinate plane. So we're going to start blending a little bit of geometry into algebra. This is where they start to kind of meet each other. So we have some vocabulary that we want to kind of bring forth. We have x-axis, y-axis, origin, quadrants, ordered pair, coordinates, x-coordinate, and y-coordinate. So typically when we worked with those inequalities, we graphed on a number line. All we were doing is kind of moving left and right. A coordinate plane basically allows us to move in two-dimensional space. So not only can we move left and right, but we can also kind of move up and down. So the first thing we want to talk about is the x-axis. So the x-axis is this number line here that goes left and right. So a lot of times this is referred to as the x-axis. So this x-axis is this, what we call a horizontal line. So it could also be considered the horizontal axis. And you remember that horizontal, just like the horizon. You know, the horizon is kind of goes like this across there, like sunset. Horizon is this more, that orange kind of moves, spreads out left to right in the sunset. So horizon is kind of more in this direction, left and right. The y-axis is this, what we call vertical line. So it's this number line that goes in a vertical direction. So it's referred to as the y-axis. Or sometimes it may be referred to as the vertical axis. So this vertical axis is this line that goes up and down. And these two number lines intersect at a special spot. They intersect at this location right here, that little spot there, which we put a point there. That point represents the intersection of these two lines. And this point has a special name. This point is referred to as the origin. So the origin is our starting point. So that's going to be a very important point when we start working with this coordinate plane, is the origin. It's kind of our starting point. Quadrants. Quadrants are these regions that are created by these two number lines. So when these two number lines intersect, they create these four different spaces here. So the first space is referred to as the first quadrant. This upper left-hand corner is the what we call the second quadrant. Then down here in this spot, we call this the third quadrant. And then over here we have what's referred to as the fourth quadrant. So that prefix quad kind of implies like four. You may have heard of like quadruplets. So quad is kind of a prefix that means four. So we have these four regions which we refer to as quadrants. Another thing we have is what's called an ordered pair. An ordered pair has this look to it. Like if I put some numbers here, 2, 3, these numbers have a specific order. This first value is considered our x-coordinate. The second value is referred to as our y-coordinate. So a lot of times you'll see these parentheses with these two numbers in them. If you see that kind of notation, that represents what we call coordinates or an ordered pair. So in this case, since that's a positive 2, that would tell me to move right 2, and since it's a positive 3, it would move up 3. So that spot right there is the location of a point. So this ordered pair is going to represent the location of a point. So if I call this point A would be located at moving 2 to the right and 3 up. So ordered is very important because you can't interchange. That 3 does not tell you to move left and right 3. The first number always tells me whether to move left and right. So that's really important. The second number is always going to tell me how to move left and down. So you have to kind of put these together. So you have to go right 2, up 3, then you make a little point, and that kind of marks the spot that you're at that point. So ordered pairs are going to be really important, and what they're going to represent are what we call points. You'll be graphing. So again, we talked about the coordinates. The coordinates are the parts of the ordered pair. So there's two parts to coordinates. There's what we call the x-coordinate, and there's what we refer to as the y-coordinate. So as we move in to the next lessons, we're going to do a little bit of working with ordered pairs and plotting points. So again, you need to get yourself familiar with these vocabulary words. So you may have to pause the video, mark these down, and redefine these words. And notice how, again, a picture helps out a lot with these words. Okay? So we have our x-axis, our y-axis, the origins where they meet. We then have these four regions, which we call quadrants: quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. And of course, what we're going to be doing is graphing, and that's where these ordered pairs are going to be coming in. So the x-coordinate and then the y-coordinate. So notice how it's even in alphabetical order. So they'll have some meaning to us as we move on. Okay? So stay tuned for our next lesson.